So again, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Dr. Caroline Dalton O'Connor, who is the Director of Undergraduate Education in the School of Nursing and Midwifery in UCC. And Caroline has kindly agreed to join us this evening and present just a brief insight into the School of Nursing and Midwifery. So I'm going to make that presentation live there now, Caroline.
Thanks very much, Brendan, and thanks for the invite. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's live now, Caroline, so you can begin whenever you'd like to.
That's great. Thank you, Brendan. So good evening, everybody, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to come to discuss the aspects in relation to the school, in relation to nursing and midwifery in the School of Nursing and Midwifery here in University College Cork, and to give you some insight, I suppose, to nursing and midwifery programmes within the university. So I hope my presentation is moving on there. Okay. So here within the School of Nursing and Midwifery, we have a range of both undergraduate and postgraduate programmes, but this evening we're going to be focusing on our undergraduate programmes, which are comprised of 5 different programmes: the BSc Honours in Psychiatry or Mental Health, BSc Honours in Midwifery, BSc Honours in Intellectual Disability Nursing, BSc Honours in Children's and Integrated Pathway, and BSc Honours in General Nursing. So all these different courses or different programmes have their own individual codes, and you'll see that now on my screen in front of you. So CK710 relates to general nursing, and we on average take 120 students per year into that programme. CK720 is mental health nursing, and we take on average 40 students into the programme. CK730 is relating to intellectual disability nursing, and we take 25 students into the programme. CK740 relates to the midwifery programme, and we take 28 students into that programme. And CK712 is the Children's and Integrated General and Children's programme. That programme takes approximately 24 students every year, and there is a slight distinction with that programme, as you will see, in that it is 4.5 years as opposed to 4 years for the other programmes, because you are getting a dual qualification in relation to children's in general. So these are distinct courses or programmes with different emphasis and different points of entry to the professional register of the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Ireland. And transferring from one branch to another is not always feasible, so it's very important that you are clear from the outset as to which programme you wish to apply for when you're applying for nursing and midwifery. So the whole ethos within the School of Nursing and Midwifery here is to advance nursing and midwifery practice and provide leadership for the profession of nursing and midwifery through the development of innovative professional education programmes, excellence in clinical practice, promotion of research, and the development of national and international links. So here within the School of Nursing and Midwifery, we are very focused on developing professionals who have plenty of experience in clinical practice and clinical settings, who are embedded in research, and we have a wide range of national and international links within the School of Nursing and Midwifery. And this is one of the reasons why the School of Nursing and Midwifery has such high rankings both nationally and internationally. So your programme, when you come into the School of Nursing and Midwifery, will have a 4-year duration, as I said, except for the integrated programme, which is a 4.5-year programme. And you will be engaged in a wide variety of modules. Some of these modules are core, and this means that they are undertaken by all nursing students, and in some instances, other modules will be shared across both the nursing and midwifery programmes. The pathway-related placements and specialist placements are specific to your programme, and we will go through those in detail in the next few slides. So each nursing and midwifery programme will have their own specialist placements, and the information in relation to which placements you will be undertaking will be given to you each year as you go through your programme. So on completion of the programme, you will either be a registered psychiatric nurse, registered intellectual disability nurse, a registered general nurse, a registered children's nurse, or a registered midwife, and you will also have your BSc Honours in Nursing or Midwifery, your science degree. So the structure of the programme across the 4 years is laid out in this slide here in front of you. So in year 1, you have 16 weeks in theory and 12 weeks in practice. In year 2, you will have 14 weeks in theory and 16 weeks in practice. In year 3, you will have 15 weeks in theory and 16 weeks in practice. And in year 4, you will have 10 weeks in theory and 36 weeks in practice. And again, as I previously stated, the Children's and General Integrated Programme is slightly longer, so you have additional practice weeks attached to that programme. And you can see quite clearly that the theory and practice are very much embedded in all aspects of the programme. And in order to progress from one year to the other, you must pass both your theory elements and your practice elements in order to move through the programme from one year to the other. You will see here in front of you as well the 4-year course structure for the programme. So you will see in the slide there that I have in front of you that there's a number of different aspects to the programmes, and the theory part of the programme is identifiable there in red, and your clinical practice part of the programme is identifiable in orange. And you have also opportunities there when we're building in vacation time and also time for examinations and study leave as well. So the structure of each programme is provided to you at the start of the year. It's laid out for the 4 years in which you'll be undertaking the programme. So there's plenty of information available to you in order to allow you to pre-plan in relation to other aspects of your life when you're trying to structure your life around the 4-year programme. So the vast majority of your time in theory will be spent with us here in the Brookfield Health Sciences Complex, and we have a wide range of different amenities within the complex to support you in your learning and in your journey with us. So we have obviously our lecture theatres, we have a clinical simulation resource centre, which is a very important part of how we deliver our supports here within the school to you as students. We have access to a library here within the Brookfield Health Sciences Complex, and also to a computer lab. So there's a wide range of supports available and teaching venues available to you within the Brookfield Health Sciences Complex. And as I said, the Clinical Simulation Resource Centre is a very important aspect of how we deliver practice-based learning to students within the programme. And we've just some visuals there of some of the rooms that have been laid out and how we go about providing practice-based teaching to you within the School of Nursing and Midwifery, in conjunction with the experiences you will also have when you are in your clinical placement in your relevant health service provider. And there's just some more images there for the Clinical Simulation Resource Centre. We also, as I said, have the Boole Library and the Brookfield Library as well, and there's plenty of amenities for students to access library services online in addition. So as I stated, the clinical aspect of the programme is extremely important, and just to give you an overview if you're not already aware of our health services providers. So practice placements within the School of Nursing and Midwifery are rolled out in conjunction with our health service providers, and they're compiled in the Bon Secours Hospital, the Cork University Hospital, Mercy University Hospital, South Infirmary Victoria University Hospital, Tipperary University Hospital, Cope Foundation, the HSE-SA Mental Health Services in the Cork area, the HSE-SA Maternity Services and community-based services. And we have a range of community-based services across Cork City and County, which you will be availing of during your time with us as a student. And these are just a very quick overview of some of the facilities that we are partnered with and the areas where you will be spending your time in clinical practice. So in relation to clinical placement, there are a number of changes to practice for 2022 that we want to make sure that everybody is aware of. So the range of clinical placement experiences over the 4 to 4.5 years to meet Nursing and Midwifery Board of Ireland requirements means that students have to avail of a whole range of clinical placements and clinical experiences. And in order to facilitate this, from 2022 on, all students would be obliged to own an Apple device, an iPad or an iPad mini, and an Apple Pen or other compatible stylus to complete scheduled clinical placements and a completing programme work while in college. An Apple phone or Android device is not permissible for this work, and a large amount of the documentation and the work that you'll be doing, particularly when you are on clinical placement, will need to be recorded on the iPad or an iPad mini. We just want to make you aware, if students have their own Apple device, it must have an operating system iOS of 12 or higher and be compatible with an Apple Pen or some other compatible stylus. And there is some information there that you can click on to get additional supports in relation to Apple, and I'll put that into the chat at the end of the presentation, so you'll be able to access those links. So you may wish to wait to purchase your Apple device and pen after you have registered with UCC in August 2022 to avail of student discounts on the HEAnet, an online store that provides a wide range of educational discounts on ICT hardware, software and other services for students. The School of Nursing and Midwifery are committed to making provision to support students who can demonstrate that they or their family do not have the means to purchase a device themselves, and we have some further information in relation to student financial supports and advice. And again, I will put the links to this information into the chat at the end of my presentation. So for information on general financial supports available in UCC, we have specific links, and we also have very specific information in relation to a laptop loan scheme through Access UCC. And as I said, I will make both of those links available to you in the chat at the end of my presentation. So in terms of your future as a staff nurse or midwife, there are a range of career pathways that you can avail of, such as staff nurse or midwife, clinical nurse manager or clinical midwife manager, clinical nurse specialist or clinical midwife specialist, advanced nurse or advanced midwife practitioners, or to follow a career in education if you so wish. Having completed your undergraduate education, there is also a whole range of different postgraduate opportunities that will be available to you, and these range from continuing professional development modules, which will help you to keep up to date with current practices, to more long-term postgraduate diplomas, master's degrees and doctorates. So there's plenty of opportunities in terms of nursing, both from a career pathway and from a continuing professional education perspective. So in terms of the feedback on the undergraduate programs, many of the students who have undertaken the program in the past number of years have really enjoyed undertaking the nursing and midwifery programs and described them as exciting, challenging, rewarding, dynamic, fulfilling, and providing with diverse opportunities to travel, progress and specialise. So there is an awful lot to be said for choosing a career in nursing and midwifery. For further information in relation to the programmes, there are a range of individuals that you can contact here within the School of Nursing and Midwifery. Dr. John Goodwin is the Programme Leader for Mental Health Nursing. Dr. Margaret Murphy is the Programme Lead for Midwifery. Dr. Margaret Curtin is the Programme Lead for Children's and General Nursing Integrated. Dr. Anne-Marie Martin is the Programme Lead for Intellectual Disability Nursing. And Ms. Anne McCall and Ms. Caroline O'Connor are the programme leads for general nursing, and some of these programme leaders have very kindly joined us here this evening as well, and might be able to answer one or two specific questions you might have in relation to their particular programmes. We also have information on the school webpage and also on the NMBI website, which can provide you with an awful lot of relevant information in relation to your programmes. And also the first year administrator, Ms. Emer Corcoran, can be contacted at that email address for general queries in relation to nursing and midwifery programmes in first year. So I'm going to close off my presentation at this point, and thank you very much for taking the time to listen, and I hope you have picked up some information in relation to the programs we have to offer here within the school. And as I said, I'll make the links that were in the presentation available to you in the chat, and I'll hand back over to Brendan at this point. So Brendan, you're on mute.
Thank you, Caroline. That was great. Thanks so much. We appreciate that. And we have a number of questions in relation to a couple of, well, we have approximately 13 questions have landed, and I'm going to ask my colleague in a little while, Dr. Teresa Wills, who's our first year coordinator, to perhaps look at those questions, and we can bring them to our attention to the panel in a minute, if that's okay, Teresa, and we'll open the questions out as much as you think is applicable, and we'll try our best to answer them, or maybe to direct people towards where they can get the accurate answers in relation to it. So we'll do our best. But before we look at questions, if that's okay, I'm going to invite our third year student representative just to say a few words. And it's always really good and insightful for a student to provide insight into their experiences to date of the programme. And our third year representative this evening, student representative, is Laura Duffy, and I'm hoping Laura is still with us, and I'm going to cue Laura there, and I'm going to send her into the live, if that's okay.
Hiya, Brendan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I'm going to send you live there now. We can see you there now, Laura. Okay.
Hello,
so Laura,
how are you?
Thank you, Laura.
No problem at all. It's great to be here. It's great to be invited. So you just want a bit of my experience, Brendan, is it?
Yeah. So maybe some of your words of wisdom to date in relation to, why you choose a career in nursing or midwifery, and maybe even something along the lines of how you found it the last 3 years. And also, when you were making the decision, did anything help you, or did anything, along that particular line inform you to make a better decision in relation? It's just some insight, Laura, as much as you can.
Yeah. So I always really wanted to do the nursing, Brendan, but just life decisions, I put it off, and I suppose, something that I would, like to share that I'm a bit nervous about coming back, being a mature student, and I wasn't really aware of actually the amount of supports that are there for mature students, which is something that I will highlight moving forward here. But, I made the decision, actually, it worked out a bit differently for me. I wasn't aware of the CAO and that, so I made the decision in August. I contacted the Mature Student Office, which I found, was extremely helpful and guided me along the way through my application and everything. But I did the pre-nursing because it was August and the CAO was closed at the time. But I applied then obviously for UCC, and it was a very, I suppose, nervous but exciting experience and even decision to make. I have children, and being a mature student, I was very kind of anxious as to how I would juggle it, and that is very normal looking back now, as to how far I've come being in third year. It's a fantastic start to finish, and like the supports that are there, it's very kind of daunting coming in first day, and you've all the younger gang coming in straight from school, and they're so boisterous, and I had a daughter close in age to a lot of them when I was starting, and I felt at the start, I felt excited, but as I said, nervous. But the help that we had from the start, I think we had Teresa, actually that's here today, Dr. Wills. We had Teresa from the very, very beginning, and anytime I had any questions or queries, I always found the staff was always very approachable. Caroline O'Connor, she's actually on this evening as well, was always a great help to me. And we were always guided along the way as mature students. We were always guided to the likes of the Skills Centre, for essay writing and for all that type of stuff. And, whereas you link in with the Skills Centre then, and they'll link you in along with other areas. And you know, as I kind of settled in, it became more exciting. You know, obviously it's you know, it's not easy, and I will say, as a mature student, and you know, from me anyway, you know, because I wanted it so much, I was willing to put in the work, you know, and finding that schedule that suits me. You know, it's very kind of accommodating in UCC, where that you have the library, you have the IT labs, you have you know, and you have all these areas to go to where you can get your work done if that's what suits you, and that suits me. I go to Brookfield, you know, during college hours, even if I don't have lectures, because I find that once I'm there, I'll apply myself. You know, obviously because I have a busy house here at home with children and that, you know, but you've great supports, and you know, I'll continue to highlight that. You know, I was always kind of worried about, you know, money and placements and so on and so forth, and you know, the student assistance fund, all these things. And I found, again, the mature student office always kind of guided me on an avenue. If I was ever kind of unsure, you know, I just link in with the mature student office, and they were fabulous, kind of guiding me on ways to go. So I can't really speak highly enough about the supports that are there for us, you know. And again, you know, the clinical placement areas is fabulous. The CPCs are always very helpful. They'll be the links that you'll have when you do, you know. And I suppose another thing that I was very nervous about that I didn't know is that you're allocated your parent hospital from the get-go. You know, I came from pre-nursing, where we had to source our own clinical placement area, and you know, I believed coming into UCC that that was going to be the same thing, but of course it's not. You're allocated your hospital, you have support from the allocation side in UCC, but you also have it from the clinical placement area that you're allocated. You know, as it is daunting as a mature student, and you know, even coming on this call tonight is daunting. You know, I mean, we're human, but it's very, very doable and very exciting. You know, and you don't realize the amount of avenues that are actually open to you as you progress. You know, but again, you know, I have to put in the work. You know, it's not something that just comes to me anyhow. You know, I put in the work. I'd be very vocal. I suppose a lot of the lecturers here know me. You know, I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. And I look forward to going to college. I look forward to going to placement. Third year, you know, it does get a little more difficult as it goes along. But I will say, as a third year student now, you know, the naivety that I had in first year is starting to leave me. It's all starting to come together, and you know, it's the registered nurse is within my reach right now, and I feel that I'm a lot more confident in me and my abilities. And again, but I can't speak highly enough of the support and the lecturers. You know, all of my lecturers have always been very, very supportive to me, and have always guided me on the right direction. So, you know, that's kind of my experience, really. Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like me to add, Brendan?
No, that's excellent, Laura. I mean, there may be a couple of questions come in, you know, in relation to your experience, and particularly, I know from looking at the questions so far, there is quite a number of questions in relation to being a mature student. But I'd just like to ask maybe one or two more questions, if that's all right, Laura, when we have you here. And I love your house, by the way. It's fantastic, the house behind you. Yeah, yeah.
You saw one behind me. No, you wouldn't be as play. But in the door, I have the children hiding downstairs.
Very good, very good. That's the work-life balance, isn't it? The work-life balance. And that is one of the questions that is in the inbox at present, is some from an attendee this evening, is how did you manage that whole, you know, work life or school life and home life balance, and what helped in relation to that, you know, supports and so on.
Okay, so you know, again, I suppose, you know, it was very helpful that well, my youngest girl was 2 actually when I started. So I had a 2-year-old, and my son, I had a boy in 6th class. And you know, I suppose from the get-go, I had to kind of be very organised in my childcare, which, you know, for me, I utilised. I had to do creche with the little one, and this is where the student assistance fund actually really helped me, and it kind of helped me along with, childcare, and you know, then I suppose it would be the case of breakfast clubs, etc. You know, for the kids, really, it was all about just organising childcare. Really, you know, I suppose once she started school now, it's alleviated an awful lot of that pressure because she's in school a lot. But you know, as much as the course is full time, I suppose it's a bit different now compared to when I started back in 2019, because we've a lot of the blended learning now with the online opportunity. You know, whereas I can do some work from home if that's afforded to students still now, I'm not too sure. But you know, I suppose it's all about really, again, structure, getting the structure from the get-go, you know. Childcare needs to be sorted. And that was something I did struggle with at the start. But once I got a system going, I'm lucky I have childcare here locally to me. I have a childcare that I would use. And yeah, I know there's a creche in UCC. I've never tried to utilise that, but there is a creche if it's children. I've never inquired about using that because I have childcare that I have here with someone locally. But yeah, like that's kind of my experience, really, you know. That.
No, that's really, really valuable. Thanks so much, Laura. And again, I'm sure there'll be loads of questions coming in. Every so often we're losing you just a little bit, but we're only losing you for a second, that's all, and you come back in again with the connection. So I heard all of that, to be honest, and really good insight. So thanks, Laura. I'm not sure anybody else on the presenters want to ask Laura any questions before I remove Laura for want of a better word, from the live box and put someone else in there. So maybe someone else does before I do that.
Laura, Dr. Teresa Wills here. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on this evening's webinar. And like you said, you're in third year, and I said to you at the beginning, you know, time does fly, and here you are, third year, you know, and you're almost, you know, you can see the end result inside, which is absolutely wonderful. And just to say, Laura, you are just an amazing, mature student. Every day we meet you, bobbing around, full of energy, motivated, dynamic, asking the questions, and that's what it's all about, Laura, isn't it? Because if you don't know and if you have queries, it's just asking, linking with us lecturers, and we're here to support you, and I think that certainly has helped you on the way. Laura, you spoke, and one of the questions is on the work-life balance, and you spoke about childcare, and I think a very good point you made is that you come into Brookfield, you know, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and I know that some of our mature applicants are probably wondering, what about weekends, and do you do night duty, etc. as a student nurse? So you might just talk about what you do at the weekends in relation to do you study the weekends, coming up to exams, just maybe just give an insight in relation to how you manage that.
Yeah, no, I do work. I work one night of the weekend because I find if I was doing more. Excuse me, I was doing more and it was too much. I was burning myself out. Again, I have children, and I do look. We have to take a bit of time to ourselves as well. You know, it's life, and for me, I climb a mountain every weekend. But anyhow, but you know, I suppose the study part of it, you have to allocate the hours. As you said, you see me in Brookfield all the time, and something I'd like to point to is there's no hierarchy. You know, at the end of the day, that's what I feel about Brookfield. We're all the one. I speak to everybody, you know, and I've never felt any, you know, there's mutual respect there. I really love, you know, but going back to the work-life balance, I work one night, I need to, and I think that's fabulous. If you can work a night as a healthcare assistant or something of the sort, it does help you along the way with your learning. You're able to apply, although you're not doing the nursing side of it, you know, along with your placement, you can apply, you know, what you're learning to your environment. One night a week is enough for me. You know, I suppose it all depends the supports people have at home. Is there, you know, do they have children, do they not? But the girls that are mature students who don't have children, they all work part-time as healthcare assistants. You know, and they're all managing very well, because, you know, although we're full-time students, you're not in class full time. You do have your gaps in the day. And, you know, I would advise strongly, from my perspective, that when you do have your gaps from the day, go into the library, get stuck into the books. I only wish I did it sooner. Now that I have that system going, it's so beneficial. So head on in there. There's so much there, and you know, there's the book. Take yourself away from what you know with the internet and Google and that, and kind of delve into, you know, the realities of academia, you know, but that'll all come too, you know.
That's great. Thank you very much, Laura. And I think one important point you made there is that you need to have a break also, you know, as a mature student, because you're juggling a lot of plates in the air. So it's trying to get the balance, and you do have to look after yourself as well, Laura. So thank you for that insight.
It comes, you know, you do find the balance. You do.
Okay.
Laura, I was just wondering, this is Caroline here. I was just wondering, I know I met you today and you're working, your head was spinning thinking about something else and how to do it now, to get done. Can I ask you a question in relation to your relationship with the younger members of the class? How do you find, because you are a mother, do you find they look at you as a mother figure or what?
Oh,
just out of interest, you know, I mean, I know a lot of them do come to you for advice and that as well, but at the same time, how do you feel about that?
Do you know what? I suppose, look, I was more of a mother to them for quite a while, actually. You know, as you know, I'm class rep from the get-go, and I'm an allocation rep, and I'm an INMO rep, and I'm this, that, and the other. And you know, I did really I did really take that motherly role from the get-go, but you know, we also have a mutual relationship. There's no like, it's not that I'm the older student and they're the younger student. We laugh all the same, we socialize the same, we have our lunches together. There's no division. You know, not at all. Like, it's like, oh, where are you going in placement now? And we all link in together. And even when we're on clinical placement, I mean, I might be struggling with something and I'll go to one of the younger girls and say to them, listen, you've been here or you've done that. Can you tell me your experience? You know, it's not, again, I suppose what I said with lecturers and students, it's the same with mature students and the younger students. There's no hierarchy there. We're all one, you know, and you know, one of my closest friends, albeit she's a mature student, but she was just mature student level coming in. She was only 23 and I'm nearly old enough to be her mother, you know, and we're great friends. You met the two of us today.
I did indeed. Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you, Laura, because sometimes that can be something that can be a little bit disconcerting for some people, thinking about the younger students and am I older than them and all that. But I know it makes no difference to you, but you know, from the point of view that I think everybody is the same inside in your class anyway. It works very well. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Laura. I'm just conscious of time now, because we have, would you believe, we started off with 10 questions and now we've got 21. So Laura, you've created 11 questions all on your own. So I'm going to bring back in, and Laura, thanks so much. So stay with us, because the questions we more than likely will be bringing to the whole panel. And if we don't know the answer, you may know the answer, or we might be able to direct them to someone who does know the answer in relation to that. So I'm going to bring Dr. Wills in here now, and I'm going to send Teresa live. You should be there now, Teresa. Great. And I'm going to ask you to field some questions, if that's okay, Teresa.
I certainly will. First question: what if you didn't get into the course you want, example midwifery? What would you recommend doing with your time in between now and 23 years old, becoming a mature student? Thank you.
So who wants to take that one? So if you don't get into the course you want, and you want to wait a couple of years until you become mature, if that's the way to say it, what would you do in that couple of years? Anybody want to take that one? I can answer some part of that, if that's all right, if nobody wants to take it.
Yeah, I can take it there, Brendan.
Okay, Caroline,
and maybe Laura as well, you might have some experience of this. I suppose the important thing would be look at your options, and some people might decide to do something like a pre-nursing course. Other people might look to get some work within the healthcare setting, just to be really sure about exactly what they want to do and how they want to progress in terms of their the program that they want to choose, and make sure that they're choosing the right one. So there's plenty of things that you can do whilst you're waiting to be mature, for want of a better way of saying it. Laura, you might have some input there as well.
Yeah, I was going to kind of really say the same. You know, I found the pre-nursing stood to me amazing, you know, albeit, you know, it is very different. It's very different, but it's a great stepping stone, and it's a great kind of starting off point. It helped me to get back into the books, but it also helped me to get that, I have a bit of underlying knowledge that I would have brought in. That gave me a bit of a stepping stone. So that would definitely be an avenue that I would recommend if someone wasn't successful with their first application.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. We might go to the next question then. Thank you.
Indeed. Hello. Is the registration for the pre-entrance exams through IMSAP or NIMBY? Thank you.
Now, as chair, I don't know the answer to this particular question. Perhaps, Laura, do you know the answer to that question? Is the pre-entrance exams through IMSAP or NMBI?
I didn't think we did the NSATs. The way I applied was via CAO and publicjobs.ie is how I applied. So you apply via the CAO, and then you go on to the publicjobs.ie and you apply for the aptitude test. And that's how I did it, unless it's changed now in the last 2 years. I'm not sure how I applied.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Hey, Brendan, I just come in there. If you go onto the careers in nursing, there's a section on there on the NMBI website about applying as mature applicant. And Laura, as you said, you do apply through the CAO. You complete your application to the CAO, and once you have your CAO number, you will then be in position to undertake the assessment tests and complete those tests. So the Careers in Nursing and Midwifery page on the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Ireland website lays out very clearly for people exactly where to go and what to do. So that would be a good source to get your information to start your application process.
Fantastic. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Laura.
Can I just give you one more?
Yes.
There's also, just for people that are applying for the aptitude test, there is also sites that you can go on where you can do practice tests. You know, and they're also very, very beneficial just to even get the feel for it. But and you find them on Facebook, and you can find them everywhere. They used to do them in the hotels, but it's now online.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Laura.
Brendan, in relation to that question, I think they just need to be doubly sure, because I think last year was the first year that NIMBY were doing it. And they had their aptitude test a bit like the HPAT, almost type similar questions. There's a number of them, and I think they were doing that last year. And NIMBY, as we call it, the National Registration Board. So I just think we just need to double check on that one again. But yes, that is a very valid question that the person is asking us there in relation to that. So it could be NIMBY.
Great. I think that for concrete advice and that, and for information, that we should go back to Caroline, Caroline Dalton O'Connor there, just in relation to that particular website and the steps to take, and that, just get clarification.
Yeah, hi Brendan. I can put the link up to the web page and the process there.
Fantastic. I appreciate that.
Caroline. That's great.
Okay, so next question, Teresa.
Next question. Are there many males doing the course?
I can answer this one if that's all right. On average, over the 5 years of the programs available in UCC, I would estimate that there are between 20 and 25 male nurses across all the programs. So that's in totality. So not as many as we would like, to be honest, not as many as we would like, and we work very hard in attracting males, into the programs, and we continue to do that. And from my perspective, and Laura will agree here, a rewarding career, a rewarding experience for both males and females. In fact, across all our acute sites across the city and our community sites, we meet all, males and females across. So it's a very, very, should I say, rewarding career for both genders. And again, I would welcome more males into it, into the programs.
Thank you, Brendan. Next question is very similar to the original question we had earlier. What is the content of the assessment test by the NMBI for mature applicants in midwifery? Is it general knowledge or midwifery specific content? Laura, we might ask you to, if you can remember the aptitude test and the questions in relation to the focus of those questions, if you can remember. Was it general knowledge?
So general knowledge, like kind of reasoning. So it's kind of So there's a maths one. So you have your maths one where you're allowed to bring a calculator, etc. And it's multiple choice. And then you have your reasoning one. I know there was 3. I can't think it's the third one. Jeepers, if I come that far. But with the reasoning one, they just give you scenarios, kind of thinking on your feet type of thing. I remember one of mine was I was a PA for the Taoiseach, and someone didn't show up, and what would I do? Would I step in, or would I, advise this, that, them type of things? So just to see, can you think on your feet? But there's none actually discipline specific. When I did it anyway, it wasn't discipline specific.
Thank you, Laura. What did you do? What did you suggest, Laura, in that instance? Step in?
Teresa, of course, I took over.
She became the Taoiseach.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, so next question.
Next question. As a student with English as a second language, do you have to send the result of the English test to the CEO or to every university you apply to individually?
Okay, so does anybody on the panel have an answer to that specific question? Or who do we direct that person to get an answer on that? I suspect it's the admissions office.
Yes.
Yes, and if they are international students, they can apply through the international office in University College Cork. So we have an international office in University College Cork, and all the details of how to apply as an international student are there, along with your requirements for the different exams that you might be taking. Let's say if you're coming from the States and you're doing SATs or something, what level you need to get, or if you're coming in terms of your English language requirements, all the English language requirements would be available on the international office webpage of University College Cork.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. That's great.
That's great. And this is another question from an international student perspective. Is the third term in the summer completely off? Are there any placements, classes or exams during that time, or would you be able to go home as an international student?
So yes, we do have some placements over the summer. So for example, in the first year, students do complete a placement in May. This would be for general intellectual disability, mental health programs, and other students may start maybe late August as well for placements. Pediatric students can sometimes have placements in August as well. But we very much try and work as close as possible to the academic year as possible. However, for nursing and midwifery programs, we also have that clinical requirement of approximately 81 weeks along with theory, so those clinical weeks do need to be inserted in as well. But we do have international students on the programme, and they do go home, be it at Christmas, the Easter break, and over the summer holidays as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burton. Next question is for Dr. Dalton. Do you expect the term starting this autumn to be in person or online due to COVID?
Okay, so at the moment the university is, and here in School of Nursing, we're using a blended learning approach where we have both online and face-to-face interactions with our students, but we will be hoping to very much move towards a face-to-face delivery of content from a theoretical perspective in September. But as all things related to COVID, you always, you can't have anything absolute, but that's definitely the intention within the School of Nursing and Midwifery to have that very important face-to-face direct contact with the students on a daily basis.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dalton. Next question, would it be possible to get a copy of your presentation by email once the webinar is over? Also, I'm interested in midwifery. Is there places for DARE applicants on this course? So 2 questions there in that one.
So I can answer the copy of the presentation just from a chair's perspective. Yes is the answer to that. So we will send that to our recruitment office in UCC and they will send out a copy of that presentation. I think that's fair to say. That's okay, Caroline, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine. And I've also put the links into the chat there, Brendan, but I don't know if they can be made public or not, if everybody on the live event can see them now or not.
Okay.
So the second question within that one is, I am interested in midwifery. Are there places for DARE applicants on this course?
I'm wondering, does anybody have the answer to that question?
This is Margaret here, Dr. Margaret Murphy, the
Thanks, Margaret.
UCC Midwifery Programme Lead. As far as I'm aware, there are. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the number of places on the midwifery programme are around 28. There aren't as many places on the BC midwifery program as there would be for general nursing. So the points tend to be a little bit higher for midwifery than they are for general nursing. But as far as I'm aware, there are a couple of places available for students accessing the degree through the DARE program.
Excellent.
Thank you. Murphy. That's great. Next question. Can you tell us how many applications have come in from mature students?
So I suppose we don't have that detail at present, and I don't know if we ever get that level of detail. But certainly, how many applications have come in from mature students? The answer to that would be a no. Really, to be honest, we couldn't tell you how many applications have come in. I'm not sure you'll ever get that level of information at this stage of the application process. I can be corrected by the panel if I'm inaccurate.
Yeah, that is correct. We wouldn't get that data until after the students commence in September.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay,
that's great.
Thank you.
Next question. As a prospective mature student, do you get an offer based on the exam in April for mature students? And this might be one for you, Laura. So as a prospective mature student, you get an offer based on the exam in April.
Yeah, so the aptitude test, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So your offer is based on that. Yeah, it's based on the result of that. So that's what mine was based on, although I did the pre-nursing. So with the pre-nursing, then you're afforded an extra route if you don't succeed with the aptitude one. If you meet the requirement, which was 8 distinctions, then you are eligible to apply on the 3rd round then as well. But for now, for the April one, it is based on your score for the aptitude test.
Thank you very much, Laura. Next question, if I don't succeed through the mature student route, in what way will my high school results and SAT scores be converted to compare with Leaving Cert results points? So this really is a question for people in the admissions office, really, isn't it, in relation to this specific query. So I would ask the person who has posted this question if you can link with the admissions office here in UCC to speak to them to ask them that specific query. Next question, what are some of the challenges nurses currently face?
So who would like to take that one? I suspect, I can
say
talk
nurses and midwives. We'll open it up for nurses and midwives. Thank you, Brendan.
Certainly over the last 2 years, the environment in which nurses and midwives have worked has been extremely challenging. And there's no way of saying any other way around that. It's been extremely challenging. I suspect that, we were expecting, would you believe, when we looked at applications last year and over the last 2 years, we were expecting the numbers to fall in relation because of the challenges that people faced in clinical. My own wife is a nurse, and the challenges were immense in relation to working 12-hour shifts in full PPE gear, short-staffed, and so on. But would you believe the application numbers increased over the last 2 years in relation to all of the programs across the board? So there was a response from across the country in relation to wanting to do nursing midwifery, and I think that says a lot about people's ambitions for the career and so on. Challenges, I can only say that nurses and midwives face that challenge, and certainly we're coming out the other end of that. Like any career, there are other challenges, such as maybe working in environments that are overcrowded, such as A&E departments and so on like that. So there's always challenges that met, and certainly I can't really say many more about that. Really, that's yeah. Maybe Aileen, you want to come in on that?
Yes. Nurses, midwives, they do have huge challenges. I suppose if you think about it, you will be working as a nurse or as a midwife when someone's at their most vulnerable, because when someone is in hospital, they are very vulnerable. So as a nurse and a midwife, we have a great privilege, I suppose, to be with someone when they're at their most vulnerable, when they're going through a very happy and joyous time, midwife delivering a healthy baby, be it as a nurse, maybe looking after someone who's caring for a dying person, or someone who's going through cancer treatment, or who's finding out they're in remission, or that their cancer is gone, or you're looking after someone who's coming in for emergency surgery and they're not sure what's actually going on. So there's huge challenges every single day for nurses and for midwives, but I suppose also it's a very rewarding career. And as Brendan was talking there, I was thinking, if I had my time over again, would I do this? And the answer is always yes. I would always do this again. Why? Because I love what I do. You know, nursing and midwifery is very much, it's about being with people. And I think if you are someone who loves to be with people, to talk with people, to care for people, you know, to want to have that therapeutic relationship with people, then nursing and midwifery are fantastic career choices for you. And with nursing and midwifery now, there is so many career options. And, you know, I keep saying to Laura, you know, even from in first year, I've always said to Laura, you're a future leader, you know, you are a future leader, Laura. Why? Because there's so many options for nurses and midwives now through management, clinical nurse manager 1, 2, 3, clinical nurse midwife specialist, advanced practitioner, going into research, going into education. Some nurses are the chief executive officers of hospitals here now in Cork, or the corporate secretaries in universities. Nurses and midwives can climb very high in a broad range of careers now. So it's very important to realise that you have huge career options, you know, here both nationally and internationally, and it is a programme I would do all over again very much.
Thanks, Aileen.
Great. Add as well, after what Aileen said, you know, I just want to say, like, I worked as a hairdresser for 16 years. I managed pubs, I managed restaurants, you know, I left hair salons with women and men that were thrilled with their haircut, etc. And, you know, there was challenges in every job I've ever had. I've had challenges while nursing. But as Aileen said, it's the honour to actually care for someone. You know, they become something to you that you can't actually put into words. You know, and I walk out of a 12-hour shift and I will say my body is sore, you know, I'm this, that and the other, but the rewards are absolutely immense, you know, and I haven't come from someone that's been working in healthcare all my life. So that's probably something that you should be aware of too. You know, I worked totally different out of healthcare. I just watched my children being cared for, and I had babies, and I was absolutely mesmerized by the rewards that I felt were being achieved, hence what drew me to it, you know. So it's great.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just keeping an eye on time there now. So we've got about 6 minutes left. And we're down to 29 attendees, so I know people are getting a little bit tired in the hour, so we'll try and keep going if we can, as much as we can, Teresa.
Okay, next question. Is theory mainly based on anatomy? That's going to be a quick answer.
No, there is anatomy input in years 1, 2 and 3, and the anatomy and physiology input is very much there related to the nursing and midwifery aspects of care. So yes, you do need an understanding of it, and you know, as Laura knows, that is very much part of a module she would have taken and excelled in with me in year 2, and she would have some now, but it is there is anatomy and physiology there in the programme. There is a couple of some hours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burton. So the next two questions are very similar. First one is how many students will be taken from FETAC and how many students will be that's after jumping down from pre-nursing course into UCC. So we don't have those exact numbers per se. Dr. Dalton, you don't have those, you don't. So those numbers you will get from the admissions office. The next question, are the theory modules online or on campus? I think we have answered that, stating that we've used a blended learning approach because of COVID, but we envisage in September that we will be going back and doing face-to-face delivery of our theory content. And obviously clinical practice is out in the clinical settings. Is there parking at Brookfield for students? Is that near the main UCC campus? So who wants to answer that about parking?
There is parking in Denny's Cross. There's a student car park there. There's also parking in Pool of Duff. So there is various parking, and there's park and ride systems then as well in operation to these satellite car parks. And students find other parking means and public transport means then as well.
Thank you. For the theory and practical, do you do all the theory first and the practical, or do you do 2 weeks theory and then another 2 weeks practical? Dr. Dalton, I think you alluded to that in your presentation.
Yeah, so in terms of the programme overall, both your theory and your practice are of equal importance in terms of your ongoing education, so that your placements are broken up, so you have theory and then you have some practice, and then you come back in for some more theory and then you're back out again for more practice. And the reason we take this approach of intersecting the two is that you have some theory, you have an opportunity then to go into practice and apply it, then you're back in for a little bit more theory and a bit more time than in clinical practice. And you'll have noticed in the slides, or you'll see it when they're made available to you again, that as we build through the programme, there's a little bit more time given to practice, and in particular in fourth year, where you're in with us for theory from September until December, and then you spend your time in practice from January into September, so you have that full block in practice, and that's the only time over the course of the programme where we have just theory and practice built in that way, and that's to ensure the students get an opportunity to be embedded into the work-based setting for a long period of time before they graduate from the programme.
Thank you, Dr. Dalton. And just another question, Dr. Dalton, for you, just briefly, just on that, is for the practical work throughout the school year, do you get paid? And then for placement, and do the rates vary depending on what hospital you go to?
Okay, so for year 1, 2 and 3, you do not get paid. You are a rostered student then in fourth year, and you do get paid, and irrespective of where you're based or the program that you're undertaking, all students are paid the same remuneration. There is some financial support available though in terms of expenses that are given to each student during year 1, 2 and 3 for travel expenses, etc., to help you cover some of your costs. But no, you don't get a wage as such until you go into your roster placement.
However, you could be a healthcare assistant who can come through the system, who's sponsored by their hospital to undertake the programme. So that sponsorship allows the person to be paid depending on what they were paid previously before they started the programme. And then there's a contract set up that when you qualify that you work within the hospital for X amount of years. So that's the sponsorship programme available for healthcare assistants. So you can inquire about that. Moving swiftly along, are there many books required for the course? Are course booklets available in the library?
So yes, each module would provide a core recommended reading for each of their modules. For example, say like the medical surgical modules that you might be doing as general nursing, those module leaders have very much got together and now have a recommended, like a key list of books, textbooks, and you would have the same textbook for that then for year 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then there would be additional reading recommended throughout. These textbooks are available in the library. We would always recommend, I suppose, in the general nursing programme to have your own kind of key med surg textbook. And you know, I think the textbook I'm very much recommending at the moment that students have, it costs less than €50, you know, so it is very much. And just to come back there in terms of allowances for students, currently students on placement, and Laura, you'd be familiar with this, students are receiving €100 allowance per week. So that is currently in place for students. How long that is going to be in place, we don't know, but that is currently in place in the context of COVID.
Thank you very much.
So Teresa, we have 1 minute left there, that's okay.
Okay, and this is the question for Caroline O'Connor, and I know you've posted, Caroline, a link. Is there accommodation for students with additional needs such as readers and extra time? Thank you.
Yes, indeed. And I've just put a link here for the disability support services so that you can actually have a look at that. And yes, for exams and for academic writing and that, there are huge supports there for that. There is a study skills centre, and that will actually help as well. That's just one that you will be able to go to every day and in and out and whatnot. Then when you're sitting exams and that, once you register with the Disability Support Office, you provide the evidence of an educational psychologist or a report from them. Then you will have a needs assessment done by the people in the Disability Supports Office, and then they will recommend that you either have extra time, or that you have a reader, or that you have someone to actually maybe write the paper for you, or whatever is needed. They will actually make the reasonable accommodations for you. They will set that up, and we will work towards reasonable accommodations for anyone. And even on clinical placement, we also as well look towards reasonable accommodations for clinical placement also. And that's all done in conjunction with the Disability Support Services, which we have, which I've put up the link there for you. A very valuable link to have a look and run and look through it and see where you go. I've also put up a link there for the DARE office as well. People ask questions about DARE because it applies to DARE and HERE. And also I've put up another link there in relation to the admissions office for the undergraduate program as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And one final question, will you struggle if you didn't do chemistry for Leaving Cert? Laura, you might just answer on that. You're on mute there. Yeah, thank you.
Not at all. No, I never did chemistry, biology. I never did any of them, and that was one of my fears. But no, it's an introduction to anatomy and physiology, and as I said already, as you go along, it all comes together. But you won't if you put the work in. Not at all.
Thank you very much, Laura. So that brings us to the end, because I know we are just over the hour, 3 minutes over the hour. So I'll hand you back there to Brendan.
Okay. So thank you very much, everybody, and a specific word of thanks to our presenters, Dr. Caroline Dalton O'Connor and Laura. Thanks so much for your time. We're eating into your work-life balance, but again, it's really appreciated. That hour was really appreciated, and all of our programme leads and representatives here this morning as well. And Teresa, thanks for fielding those questions. I think it was a very productive evening, to be honest. At one stage we had over 40 attendees. That's not including ourselves on the panel. We had lots of interesting questions. There are lots of different links gone up for people to be able to access, and we will forward that particular presentation to the recruitment office, so it can be sent out to their contacts in relation to that, and guidance counsellors as well. We'll do that as a matter of priority tomorrow and get that done. So on that note, we'll end the live event. Again, thanks everyone for their time, and thanks to the attendees for joining us. And we wish you the very best of luck in your future career choices. And we hope that someday we will see you in Brookfield or in the School of Nursing and Midwifery in the near future. And stay safe, everyone. And thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.